You know, internet, there's nothing quite like a nice cup of coffee to talk about fat fetish content on the internet. You know, internet, there's just something about the internet at large that's turned me into a monster. Tragic events happen or things happen online, and I'm just instantly skeptical or laughing at some event. I can't even be, you know, skeptical of some things, because then I go into public and then people think I'm a paranoid schizophrenic. Listen, all I'm saying is the milkman has delicious milk. But let's talk about some other guy with big milkers. Let's talk about Nicocado. Anyway, perhaps you've seen the pictures on the internet. Perhaps you've been exposed to his body parts online. But Nicocado is now proclaiming to be a disabled individual. Now, as a resident Nicocado expert, allow me to dash some of your hopes and dreams that he's on death's door. That is not an intubation machine. He's not intubated, or I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. That's a CPAP machine. That's a machine you get if you have sleep apnea. I will say that sleep apnea, one of the risk factors for it, is excessive obesity, but so are other things like alcoholism and my other addictions in life. However, we'll be talking about Nick's addiction to food. Look, I'm not a doctor, but I think that's why the CPAP machine is there, all right, guys? Now, some of this I have talked about before, but you see, Critikal made a video, which means that by and by, this Nicocado stuff is reaching a critical mass, if you will, to make a pun about both Critikal and the mass of Nicocado, and I've explained the joke now. So, what does everybody want to know about Nick? Well, first off, is he actually on death's door? Is he disabled? What's happening here?
Oh no! Oh no! Oh!
In fact, in the grand scheme of morbidly obese reality TV celebrities, Nick is actually kind of underweight. He definitely has genuine health issues, but given his height and also how much chaotic stuff happens in his videos, he is not bedridden. He is not one of those people that needs to be like airlifted out of their home. That doesn't need to happen yet. He's nowhere near there. So, for those of you unfamiliar, perhaps you came from the Critikal video, allow me to explain to you some of what's happening with Nick, though some of my other videos go into more detail. All of the crying, all of the meltdowns, everything that happens on Nicocado's channel, the failing marriage story, all of that is fake to an extent. Is his marriage perfect? Probably not, but it is not the cluster foobar that we're seeing on the internet right now. If you actually watch Nicocado's content, and by the way, you do have to watch a lot of content to notice this, but if you do, you'll notice that it's actually acting. It's pretty stunted. A lot of the arguments, they're having trouble holding back laughter. They hit each other with pool noodles. It gets quite chaotic, but I can assure you that it is not as real as it would first seem to be.
Appreciate my cake. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I bought the cake because I love you. Are you serious? Serious? I'm seriously in love with you. That's what I tell the therapist, Linda.
This whole marriage falling apart subplot has been happening on Nicocado's channel for a while, and Nick uses this as an excuse to go out and travel and have other routine collabs with other mukbangers, one of which I'll mention a little bit later in my big Nicocado conspiracy. These are basically really convoluted soap opera plot lines, so that way Nicocado can go on a business trip vacation to say he's moved out and move into some fancy hotel that he'll write off as a business expense by doing an apartment tour. The whole point of all this is so that way you, the viewer, watch it and either just laugh at the absurdity of it all, or you get frustrated at what you're watching, so you write an angry comment. Either way, at the end of the day, Nicocado wins. The only way to win as a viewer is to just simply not play the game.
Greetings, Professor Diesel.
Hello, Joshua?
A strange game. The only winning move is not to play.
So those of you that watch my streams over on twitch.tv/FPSDIESEL know that I like reality television. Reality TV is great at tapping into schadenfreude, basically the joy we get from watching others fail, be humiliated, or basically be the butt of a joke. Basically, when you watch My Strange Addiction, you're getting the same kind of feedback in your brain that you would get if you watched Trisha Paytas, or DSP, or Nicocado. However, I think Trisha Paytas and Nicocado are actually pretty self-aware of themselves. DSP, I don't know, give and take. As I said, I'm a viewer of Nicocado's, right? I watch him regularly, and I had stopped because the whole idea of him having a failing marriage with Orlin actually got pretty stale for me, and I couldn't keep watching it over and over again. But just when I was about to clock out, I got pulled back in again because this guy said he was now bedridden and disabled. Now, you're gonna guess from my thesis of this video that I don't really think that Critikal hit the nail on the head with his. Though I appreciate Critical's opinion and it's hard to hate the guy, I do disagree with what he said about Nicocado. Anyway, my thesis is this, is that Nicocado is not only partially aware, he's fully aware of what he is, and he's capitalizing on that in any sense or way that he can. The video Critikal did on Nick is actually exactly what Nick wanted. Now, whether or not that is a good thing to do, whether or not getting hate views is a good thing remains to be seen. However, I will say it has helped his bottom line. Now, before I address any of the ethical concerns with the saying that you're disabled on the internet and not being disabled, I have to expose some of you summer children to some internet degeneracy that you might be unfamiliar with. So allow me to pop that cherry and introduce you to the Nicocado metagame. I didn't really think this until YMS basically explained it on one of his streams, and ever since that happened, I haven't been able to look at Nicocado's content the same way ever again. Oh, and if you're interested in more of my content, more of this like analytical commentary stuff, please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell. It does help out the channel. I'm trying very hard here, please, for the love of God. This thing that YMS was basically getting at, this monster that was being fed, is actually that Nicocado is producing fat fetish content. Okay, that sounds extreme, and how does a couple that has a fake failing marriage on YouTube somehow be fat fetish content? Okay, let's look at one of the people that Nicocado routinely collabs with. This is Hungry Fat Chick, aka Candy Godiva, who has been making adult content for the better part of a decade over here on the internet. You might notice that she's a rather large woman, standing at only 5 feet tall and about 400 plus pounds. She is a self-proclaimed SSBBW model. What am I doing? Basically, I can't, oh my God. Okay, so basically what she does is that you pay her money on OnlyFans or Clips for Sale or whatever site that you fancy, and she'll like eat food naked or like, you can look it up, man. If that's what, you can look it up, okay? One of the subgenres of this kink, of this fetish community, is more BDSM related. This being the fantasy of immobilization, basically the fantasy, the roleplay fantasy of somebody getting so overweight that they become bedridden, they can't move anymore. They're like, they are what Nicocado is claiming to be, basically. Oh man. Wish this was Irish coffee, but it's not. Okay, so basically these people that enjoy this thing, and I'm not kink shaming here. That's not what this is about. I'm just explaining it. But people are aroused by the idea of being the person to get that person immobilized, right? To get that person to gain weight. The person, you know, so people pay money to Candy, and you know, the fact that they are contributing to Candy's inability to move is what they find so attractive, right? This is part of the reason that people pay to get content on OnlyFans, because the act of paying is part of that. This is a whole BDSM like subculture thing, okay? I swear to God, I'm not like BSing you or like being chaotic about it, okay? And this video is not getting ads. So if you'd like to join my patrons, I put out content on there. Please do that. So this fantasy, along with any other extreme kinks that exist out there on the internet, come with some caveats. You have to realize that there are negative consequences to, basically contributing to what could be food addiction or things that could shorten the lifespan of an individual or harm that individual, right? But it's for my perspective, as long as it's all consenting adults and nobody's violating my NAP, it's all right with me. So that's what Candy does, and Nick is very much in that culture as well. I could understand why a lot of people who have passing knowledge of Nicocado would look at this and kind of feel it's a culture shock, because, I mean, there's a reason that fetishes are fetishes. They are specific and unique and out there, and in American culture, that's very taboo to begin with. So for a lot of people, this is their first experience with this. I mean, let's be real here. It's not every day that somebody hops onto the internet, claims to be disabled by way of overweightness, and then, like, tries to capitalize on that. I mean, people seeing this might even say it is offensive or something of the sort. But again, this is all part of the role play and the fantasy and all that. So whether or not you want to deem whether or not this is offensive or not is up to you. I'm just relaying the information. I will say that this is a much more heated debate than foreign affairs on the internet, and all I'm saying is that people might not have their priorities straight. However, I've been saying that for years, and clearly I am not the one that's gonna win that war. So, Talo what? Is that a Middle Eastern restaurant? So yeah, I'll leave it up to you whether or not you want to kink shame or whether or not you're gonna put a line in the sand. However, I imagine some of you will be very upset because you are also part of that subsect of people that got very mad at me when I said that it's a little outrageous that the entire portion and population that has DID is for some reason localized entirely from within the Dream SMP fandom. Okay, this is great, Diesel. This is great. I'm glad you're explaining to us that Nick is basically making very specific kind of content for people that want to get their rocks off. Why is this on YouTube? Well, one of the reasons is that I feel that Nick might have a bit of a sub thing going on here, right? Or like a sub kink. Not that he is a sub. I think he's a top. Actually, no, I'm almost certain he's a power bottom, but I don't remember. Okay, anyway, back on topic. I believe that part of Orlin and Nick's lifestyle is the fact that there's public humiliation involved with the weight gain. You could say it's all part of the kinkspiracy, right? Everybody insulting and getting mad at Nicocado is actually a part of what Nicocado likes, what Nicocado wants. And hell, let's be honest here, people are watching Nicocado for a lot more than the fetish content, so it's a win-win. The people who want that get that, and then the people who don't want that get to be angry about it or get to go along for the ride. It's a win-win for everybody. And the reason that this is allowed on YouTube is that because it's so hyper-specific that I don't think most people at YouTube would say it's against the terms of service to just be overweight and eating food. I mean, there's plenty of videos on YouTube of people stepping on weird objects with their feet, and that's not against the terms of service because, I mean, it's not like, it's not titty or it's not wiener, you know, so it could just be there. Nick appears as an insane person in these videos, but if you actually listen to him in an interview, he's pretty well spoken, and it seems to all be a part of this act, this fantasy, this weird thing that he does. I mean, Nick really tapped into both markets. Not only is there like a total huge amount of people that just buy into his like adult content, but there's this all like non-adult content as well that can funnel it. I mean, Nick's probably making a killing off of this stuff. I know he talks about how he doesn't make a lot of money from his YouTube videos, but I'd imagine the cost of overhead is incredibly low. So as long as he's not living like super above his means, I can't imagine him like making a small amount of money. I myself have always been very interested in what Nicocado's doing, simply because it addresses some interesting questions that have been asked in the academic sectors of my field and career. That being, at what point does the media we watch become reality? Can we differentiate between reality and the fictional? Or are those two things intertwined so much now that they're basically both as real as each other? Those things are very like highbrow, and I'm not getting into them in this one. I have before, but they're interesting concepts that are being brought up because of the content that Nicocado makes, for as hilariously lowbrow as a man crapping in a chair while eating Taco Bell is. The reason I take videos like this in such a serious and more academic sense is because I really do think that there's a lot of academic discussion that could be had about YouTube that's just not, because the people who are actually in this field are more interested in political posturing than actually producing worthy content about the psychology or the sociology of what YouTube is and what it means. And I think Nicocado represents a very interesting subsection of that. As much as I do enjoy the schadenfreude of watching him poop himself. So just in case you glazed over for this video, not disabled, that's a CPAP machine. That means he has sleep apnea. He's talked about that before. Oh, and another thing about Nicocado is he's 29 right now, and he's saying that he's going to be quitting mukbangs when he hits 30. Now, he did say he was gonna stop when he hit 350 pounds and got to eat for free at the Heart Attack Grill. That hasn't happened, but I wouldn't put it past him to actually stop at the age of 30, because he's talked about it multiple times, how he can't do this forever and that it will actually have an impact on him. It already has. I'd imagine at some point he's definitely going to have to if he wants to be able to live a longer life or do things with Orlin in their life. So yeah. So do you guys agree with my kinkspiracy on Nicocado? How does Nicocado's content make you feel? Do you also watch it for the schadenfreude, or do you enjoy looking at people who are cringe to make yourself feel better, or is that just me? Am I a bad person, right? I imagine most of you do, but you'd like to say that you don't, right? Even if you don't think you do, you probably do. What kind of reality content do you think taps into that pretty well? And is there anything like that on YouTube that I haven't seen before that maybe I should check out? Maybe I'll look at it on stream. Anyway, guys, make sure to subscribe, hit the bell, all that stuff. Thank you for watching this video, and be well. Now I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my coffee in peace. So get out of here.